Hello everyone. I'll make this short and rude. Firstly, fuck religious fundamentalism. And for the purpose of this video, fuck the Abrahamic one. In particular, I mean the insane preoccupation with heterodoxy and the wish to make everybody comply with their imaginary one and only way of spirituality. Contrary to how our ancestors did not have much issue with other people having their own gods and outlooks on the divine. Secondly, the Near Eastern thing. Fuck Hamas and their supporters. Fuck Taliban as well. Fuck all of you Islamist trash. And fuck the slow genocide on the West Bank being enacted by Israeli loons. Both sides disgust me. Sure, Israel had the right to react to the attack. Moreover, as multiple foreign persons were killed, perhaps the UN should have been involved, but that organization is useless and corrupt to start with, so whatever. But look, Gaza is not even the size of Kyiv. Yet somehow, to fight the terrorists, most of it had to be destroyed by a much superior force. I hate the Bakhmutization of Gaza. It now looks like what the Russians do to our cities. Moving on. So, are the Jews the chosen people? Yes, of course. Of their own patron deity. Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 and 9. When the Most High apportioned the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples, according to the number of the gods. The Lord's own portion was his people, Jacob his allotted share. Here is an echo of the original Semitic pantheon, where a high god, El, split the responsibilities and power over the nations between his children, the gods. You could also encounter a more traditional translation, between the children of Israel. But I quoted following the NSRVUE rendering, which uses the gods of the older texts. This makes way more sense here, because in the ancient world, each nation or even a city was supposed to have its own patron god or gods. Unsurprisingly, of course, one might be inclined to think of their own god as the best and the strongest, and try to downplay the power of the gods of the neighboring nations. Yeah, even bereave their patron deities of any power and raise their own god to supremacy. Political and religious rhetoric conjoined in a vile union. Psalm 82, verse 1. God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. Who gave this god the power to judge over anybody, let alone his colleagues in the divine council? The priests write in his story. Above all, we ourselves have given this construct a power over us.
But it's not a question of ambition. I have an ambition to settle Jews all over the vast areas of the land that was given by God to the Jewish nation. So this is my ambition. And in the midst of things, with the attacks of Arabs in different periods of history, and especially I emphasize now the last attack, the last massacre on civilian population, that was the end of the history of the Gazans in Gaza.
I see no reason for anybody else outside of your cult to bow to this specific interpretation of a foreign god, weaved together in the course of centuries from select interpretations of disparate narratives. What has been imposed on our ancestors may be discarded and or interpreted the way we see fit, not aligned with the contemporary political narrative of quote-unquote Judeo-Christian values.
And he said the move had a clear goal. Smotrich said it, quote, definitively buries the idea of a Palestinian state simply because there is nothing to recognize and no one to recognize.
Dear Christian demagogues, you took your philosophy from the Hellenes, and better late than never, it might be time to take it back from you. And as for Muslims, your caliphates were only ever decent when they guarded and promoted the sciences inherited from the Kafir predecessors. Finally, to the insane Christian Zionists. Do you seriously think a random instance of yet another Near Eastern slaughter will bring about the second coming of Christ? Who the hell is this Christ of yours? Not the one of Paul or the Gospels or the Gnostics. Fuck you as well. Here are the last words of reason, said close to the time the rot of militant monotheism has eroded any semblance of religious toleration and free philosophical discourse. Quoting Quintus Aurelius Symmachus' appeal to reason, and for the restoration of the altar of victory, of course, uno itenere non potest perveniri ad tam grande secretum. One may not attain to such a great mystery by means of one way. But when fake exclusivity is the brand, all words fall on deaf ears. Best regards and have a nice day.